Hello friends, my name is Shilpa Kakkar. I am from M.B.Patel English Medium Secondary and Higher Secondary School. Today I am here with Commercial Correspondence. The subject Secretarial Practice and Commercial Correspondence. It is Standard 12th CC part, and we are going to deal today with chapter number 1, Bank Correspondence. In this chapter, we'll learn about the bank correspondence, how do we do, what type of correspondence is there, and how to write down, how to frame letters. Let us start. Students, you all know that bank is an integral part of trade and commerce, economic dealings and financial management of any nation. From the common man to a big industrialist, from an actor to a politician, every person takes the services of banks. The functioning of banks reveals the economic condition of any nation. There are mainly two things, two functions which a bank performs. You all know that it provides the finance and it receives the money. Along with various services, bank provide ultra modern facilities such as online, net banking, mobile banking. As a result, banking facilities have become speedier and customer oriented. There are many types of banks, but Reserve Bank of India is the topmost bank. It is considered as the central bank. It is formulating the rules for all types of banks such as nationalized banks, cooperative banks, private banks, industrial banks, agricultural banks. Reserve Bank of India regulate them. It instructs all these banks as and when required. Current accounts and saving account holders can take the advantage of banking services. You all know that there are mainly two types of accounts. Students, this is the check and the passbook. You can see both these things are used for corresponding with the bank. Passbook is very important to carry because it carries all the details. You know, the check helps us to get money, to deposit money in our account, to withdraw, to transfer money. So all these things are very important and integral part of bank correspondence. When we do correspondence with the bank, whenever we are doing any correspondence, any communication with the bank, we should do in a very simple style, precise language and a prescribed format. You all know bank is dealing with the very sensitive thing, money. Money is very important. So when the money matter is there, at that time secrecy should be maintained. Precision and punctuality are highly needed in bank correspondence. In the bank correspondence, the account number and the type of account means savings account or current account should be clearly mentioned. Another important thing, that the date is very important. Date should be mentioned very properly in the while doing correspondence with the bank. As and when any amount is to be mentioned in the bank correspondence, then it should be written in figures as well as in words. It is very important, students. You have to be very careful while writing down, because at times we may make mistake in figures. It may happen that we may make mistake in words. So both the things are to be mentioned, because it will help bankers to verify if we have made any mistake. Generally, the amount in words is written in the brackets. Normally, communication with bank takes place due to two major reasons. The first reason is request letter, when we are writing down request letter to the bank, and second reason is complaint letter. There are two things which we are doing with the bank. Request letters contains opening of the bank account, stop payment of check, letter written to get overdraft. Even if we want to close the account, at that time we are writing down the request letter to the bank. To open the demat account, dematerialized account, to get the education loan, we are writing down the request letter. Even when we want to get facility, locker facility in the bank, we need to write down the request letter to the bank. When we are writing down a request letter for credit card, debit card, either we want to avail the facility or if we have lost it. So in both the things we are writing down request letter to the bank. Students, usually we do not write down any request letter to open a bank account. Here I have given you the example. You can see that there is a form. It is the bank form for opening the bank account. It is very simple. All the details are there. We need to just fill in up the correct information. Bank has made such forms to make easy for the customers to open their bank account. So these are the reasons which I have discussed with you, that we write the request letters to the bank. The second one is complaint letters. Usually when there is a wrongful dishonor of check means your check is bounced. Bounce means you are not paid for what you have demanded, even though the bank account has the balance, and the check is returned unpaid. This is called as dishonor of check. So when such thing happens, we write down the complaint letter to the bank. If by mistake there is an error in the bank statement, that is in the passbook, then also we write down the bank to the bank a complaint letter. Sometimes it happens that the behavior of the employees of the bank is not good, very rude all the time. if they are not responding well, if they are not working on your behalf, not meeting your needs, not helping you out in your work, at that time you have to write down a complaint letter against that employee of the bank. So in these circumstances, you write down the complaint letter to the bank. When we write down the letter, certain things we have to keep in mind while writing down the letter. Most of the business letter must include letterhead. So you all have learned how to write down a letterhead. What all things a letterhead consists of? It contains the address, the name and the address of the sender. Second thing, the letter must have date. Third thing is an inside address. Next thing, we have to write down the salutation. You all know the 2 or 3 parts of the body of the letter: introductory and the reason for writing down the letter. Then the closure of the letter. However, there are several ways to format this information. Students, if you do not have letterhead and you have to write down the personal letter, then also you need to provide all these information. That is the name of the company at the top of the page. Even if you write down at the right side of the page the name of the company and the address of the company, then also it is right. Then it is followed by the recipient's name and address on the below it on the top left, spaced just below your address. Okay, so it should not be parallel, but it should be opposite side to it. Write the full date on the left hand side before you begin writing down the letter. Students, you have to be very careful that date should come before the recipient's address. Next thing, you have to be very careful that while writing down the date, you need to write down either the British method or the American method of writing down the date. British method, that means if you are writing down the date, it should be 3rd October 2020. This is the British method of writing down the letter. But if you are following the American method, then you need to write down October 3rd, 2020. I hope this is clear to you. This is American method and this is British method. Okay, so if you are writing down, you have to write down in this manner only the date. Otherwise, you will not be able to fetch marks for this. So be careful while writing down the date. Then comes the subject. The main point, only the main point of the reason of writing down the letter. Then you have to write down recipient's salutation, that is dear sir or ma'am, or directly even if you write down sir or ma'am, then also it is right. So as I told you, the date, use month, day, year format like this, or date, month and year format. Sender's address. It is a good idea to include sender's email or URL if available. If it is not, don't include the information if it is already incorporated onto the letterhead design. This will allow customer to find out your small business more quickly. When you are writing down the inside address, if you know, then you may use the full name, Mr. or Miss. That is optional, but you may write down their name also. Salutation. Be sure to use colon at the end of the name, not a comma in the personal letters. So these are the things which you have to keep in mind while writing down the letter. Body text. State why are you writing the letter. Establish any connection, mutual relationship. Upfront. Outline the solution, providing proof in the way of examples or expert opinions. Group related information into paragraphs. For closing, that is called as call to action. State what the reader needs to do and what will you do to follow up. So this is called as call to action. Then sign, that is signature. Signature is the very important part of the letter. When you sign your letter, always sign with blue or black ink. You can use the enclosure. If you have anything, you can enclose anything with it. So while writing down the letter, you have to keep all these things in your mind. Now this is very important, students. When you are writing down a letter, a business letter, all these things should be included, must be included in the letterhead. Letterhead is one of the most important printed collaterals entity needs to have. It must include the following things: information related to your business like name and address, contact information, that is your contact number. If you have landline, it's very good. If you do not have landline, then your mobile number. If you have fax, do mention about it. The organizations or companies have logo. See, on the other side, the opposite side of the contact information, you should draw a logo. It will give the balanced look to the letterhead. The graphics are important. Okay, people sometimes recognize the company, the firm from their logos. Seasonal image if needed. If you want to have a graphic letterhead, then it's okay. Otherwise, plain letterhead is also welcomed. You have to be very decent in your background pattern. So all these things must be included in the letterhead. See, students, this is the format. Very simple, very straightforward thing. You have to keep in mind all these things while writing down the letter. So when you draft a letter, do write down like this. First thing, that you have to write down the name of your firm or a company with complete address in the middle of the page. On the left hand side of the page, you have to write down the contact number. As I told you, if you have fax, you may write down. Do write down about your website if you have any, or you should write down the email address also. On the other side of the page, I have written logo. When logo is written, that means here you have to draw a picture that is related to your business. It's a logo which gives the identity to the firm. After that, you have to draw a line to have a distinction between the letterhead and the entire plain page of the letterhead. Letterhead is printed. It remains the same. But the below the line area is completely blank because it changes every time. First thing which you are going to mention after drawing the line is the date. Date, as I told you, either in the British method or in the American method, you have to write down the date in the letter. Then comes inside address, that is receiver's name or the designation and the address. Then comes the subject, the motive of writing down the letter. Subject should be precise. It should not be long. Then comes salutation. You may write down dear sir or dear ma'am or dear sir or ma'am, or you can directly write down sir or ma'am. There is no need to write down respected sir or respected ma'am. This is obsolete now. So, in the modern way, we are writing down only either sir or ma'am or dear sir or ma'am. Then comes the body of the letter. When you are writing down the body of the letter, first of all, you have to introduce yourself. Students, you have your name, your identity, but bank has given you a different identity. If you are the account holder, then you need to mention the account number along with your name, because it is the separate different identity given by the bank from which bank recognizes you. It is not by your name only the bank recognizes you, but it is by your account number only the bank recognizes you. So it is very important, while corresponding with the bank, you need to write down your bank account number. Otherwise, it will be considered as incomplete introduction. So, first part of the body of the letter should be the name and the account number of your bank. Then comes in the next paragraph, in a very precise manner, clear, simple style, simple language, the aim of writing down the letter. Alright. After writing down the letter, there is a complimentary close. Complimentary close includes thank you, yours faithfully or yours truly, XYZ. Alright. So, while writing down the letter, you have to keep all these things in mind. Now, you have to keep one more thing in mind, that when you are writing down the letter, either put commas after every detail which you have given, or do not put commas. You know that there are two ways of writing down the letter which you have already learnt in your previous standard. So, while writing down, either use fully blocked method, that is, if you are very whatever you are comfortable with. So be careful while writing down the letters. Keep all these things, minute things in your mind while writing down the letter to the bank. Refer textbook for the content, for the subject of the letters. Go through the textbook. The letters are printed in the textbook related to different subjects. Okay, so students, go through the textbook, read the textbook, go through the letters, read the letters multiple times so that you learn how to write down the letters. For better understanding, read letters. If you have any query, you may contact me. Till then, bye.